right, James, I think we should address the microscopically sized elephant in the room out the gate and just mention that there is an epidemic going on. And we hope that you listening are safe.
And healthy.
And healthy.
Insane.
We're going to try and help with that sanity factor. We're going to, talk about some trailers. We're going to be reviewing a movie in just a little bit.
Yes. The idea is to get your mind off of things.
Yeah, and we are practicing social distancing, too.
Correct,
So James and I are 6 feet apart from each other right now.
And we also have guests with us today.
We do.
We're also joined by Bad Movie Correspondent and my roommate.
She can introduce herself.
Okay, sure.
I am Bad Movie Correspondent and roommate to James.
Hey, that's what I said. She did it better, though, than me.
I am Jenny.
And Kevin, would you like to tell the other person to introduce themselves, too? Or do you want to introduce them for them?
Michael, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Bad Movie Corp.
Shit! Oh, you ruined it!
No.
I'm Micah.
No wonder they're telling us to stay apart.
Yeah, this episode went off the rails real quickly, but we're gonna keep trucking along like humanity.
We are trucking along like humanity. So, Micah, where were you from again?
I come from another little podcast called Shark Bites.
Yeah. You can also listen to that while you are social distancing. We're not social distancing here, so while you listen to this theme song, we're just gonna cough at each other right now and expose each other to our germs.
What?
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're Trailer Hitch.
No, this is good. It's like chicken pox. Like, you just get exposed to it right away, and then you get over it.
I wouldn't go with that. I think there's science saying this might be.
I will also say I haven't had chicken pox, so get the fuck over here.
Oh my God,
I can get that done right
that's
now.
awful. You've never had chicken pox?
Don't tell people that,
This is a bad time for me to get chicken pox, too.
Micah's rubbing his hands together like, oh, he's in for a shock.
I'm gonna put a Craigslist list out tonight.
Anyone with active chicken pox, reply with
Non-sexual.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say that.
Naturally,
you have to say
With
that.
Craigslist, you gotta be specific.
Well, welcome to Trailer Hitch, everyone.
Welcome to Trailer Hitch.
We got to do that part. I'm James, one of your co-hosts.
I'm Kevin, your other regular co-host, but we do have guest co-hosts today.
That's right.
Jenny, roommate, Bad Movie Correspondent.
Hi, Jenny.
And
Micah, podcast Sharks, sad.
As always, this is a movie trailer podcast where we rate and review movie trailers. We rate them on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both give a trailer a need to see rating, we celebrate. And then this is usually the part where we would say we would go and see the movie. Now it's we would sit and stream the movie and report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rear View.
Yes.
Where in which we review the trailer in retrospect, see how it set us up for the film, and review the film writ large as well. Now, we are going to be doing that, but it's not for something we gave double need to see ratings.
right,
So-
we're not specifically excited about this one.
No. So last episode, James and I goofed, and in that process, we had to watch a movie that both of us gave a double never need to see.
That's correct.
You all voted, and you all decided for us. We watched A Christmas Prince 3, The Royal Baby, which is a made-for-Netflix Christmas rom-com.
That's very bold to claim it's romantic or a comedy.
They kiss.
Yeah.
Hey, I did actually make a note. You see the couple kiss at the 20-minute mark.
Okay.
And I think that's the only affection you see between them. The
Yeah,
entire
I mean,
movie.
Luke
But-
and Leia also kiss in Empire Strikes Back, and
Much more
that's
chemistry.
yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
A lot more.
a lot more chemistry. So
we
will be
will
talking about that.
We will be talking about that, but we are going to be moving on. So before we get to A Christmas Prince 3, we are going to be talking about trailers. Because before this, and I'm waving vaguely to motion outside, happened, there were a few trailers that came out that we wanted to touch base on. So they are Jungle Cruise and Soul.
Yep.
So we're going to be updating you guys on our thoughts with those two new trailers.
Yes.
And so to kick it off, that's defy CDC recommendations and get on a cruise right now. This is Jungle Cruise.
There is a legend in the jungles of the Amazon of a tree that heals all. I believe that the legend is real.
Which it's not.
And I'm gonna find it.
Which you won't.
And when I do, just imagine the lives that could be saved.
Know this about the jungle. Everything that you see wants to kill you, and can.
Yes, this is Jungle Cruise, but do we want it to stay away from our docks? That's what we're going to be finding out. James, hit us with it. What's going on in this trailer?
Okay, so it wants us to believe that The Rock can play acoustic guitar.
Right out the gate, too.
Yeah, it's like
really making us suspend our disbelief.
So the tone of this one is real wildly different from the last go-round, which was...
There's traces of melancholy in this,
yeah,
but also
well, at the
like
beginning, and then it's just
adventure.
like... And then it was like, just kidding, we're not going to be melancholy. But
We're
it's
going to
like,
crash through a fucking building.
Yeah. It starts with The Rock asking Emily Blunt, like, why do you actually want to go on this adventure? And she's like, this is why. And he's like, cool, let's not do that, though. Instead, let's do other things. And she's like, no, I want to do that thing. And he's like, okay, cool. So
Riveting stuff.
Riveting stuff. Really.
It's like I'm watching it right now.
Yeah. What a whirlwind adventure. It escalates quite a bit to the point where it's just like an action movie.
It definitely feels like it's taking a page from how they did Pirates of the Caribbean. Because Pirates of the Caribbean is like such a mellow, pleasant ride. And the movie you get instead is Johnny Depp doing a Keith Richards impression and shit explodes.
Well,
now with Jungle Cruise, the original ride, which is like a very dryly funny and relaxing, I would say for the most part, kind of ride. And now we get The Rock playing guitar and people crashing through fucking buildings on a ship.
So where I was going with that is similarly, because we talked about the Pirates of the Caribbean comparison also, but just taking this idea that doesn't have to be this grand, epic action movie adventure like Doolittle and making it like that.
Yes.
You know, we talked about it with Doolittle, how Disney took this supposedly silly concept about a doctor who can talk to animals, and it's like, but let's Pirates of the Caribbean-ify it. And it's like, but why? This doesn't have to be this like with myths and legends and
so my
magic.
question to you is, because obviously these are properties that are based on rides at Disney, right?
Yeah.
What do you want from it? Because like,
I want it to be not just trying to carbon copy Pirates of the Caribbean. That's all I see this as, is it's like they're just trying to find their new Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Sure. And I think they're forcing it. They forced it with Doolittle. I feel like they're forcing it with this. That's a fair question. I don't know what I thought I would want from that. But it's not this, I don't think.
I definitely think I want a dry comedy.
Dry
out of like a
humor, for sure.
Because that's
the tentpole.
Tentacle.
That is the anchor.
Listen, it doesn't matter.
No, that's so much better. Anchor. We're going with the anchor.
We're going
it's
with
a
anchor.
ship. It is the anchor of the Jungle Cruise.
I would definitely want more like of a dry comedy out of this, just because the handful of times I've been on the ride, that's really what makes it. Is the skippers who do the rides tend to blend in a lot of dry humor to things.
It's all dry humor, I'd say.
And it feels like that's what The Rock is going for, but it's not quite sticking.
He's trying is the benefit. I don't know.
It's the operative.
Yeah, I don't know. Jenny, what do you think?
Jenny?
Where'd
she go?
She is gone.
Did COVID get her?
Yeah, another one bites the dust.
Damn!
It wasn't me!
It wasn't. For the first time ever, Micah is not to blame for the death of one of these podcasters. All joking aside here, though, folks, Jenny did have to step away. A work emergency came up, so we paused it. And then since we paused it, a lot of other stuff happened.
Yeah. By this point now, I am sure that the citywide order to stay in your homes will be old news. But you are now
be 5 days old by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah. But
least.
it's pretty fresh in our minds because it happened 20 minutes ago here. We did what I think any person rationally did upon getting this news, and we immediately ran to a liquor store and bought drinks.
We're just going to keep on trucking through, though, right?
You know what stops COVID?
What?
Good times. Fucking cheers me right now.
Good times. Cheers. I love it, you guys. So we got. Should we say our
What we would
how
give
we,
it?
Yeah, how we feel about Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, with Jungle Cruise, I'm going to give this. Right now, it's a never need to see.
Oh.
Any good thing I can think about it, I just go back to thinking, oh, that's Pirates of the Caribbean. But how about you, James? Where are you at?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah?
With the exception of a few moments here and there that I thought were relatively humorous. Outside of that, though, this really is just like missing the mark for what I thought I wanted from this movie. But as Micah pointed out, I also don't really know what I wanted from this movie anyway.
Does that mean you kind of didn't even need this movie on the outside?
I think that's a fair estimate. So this is a never need to see it for me. Micah,
How about you,
what
Micah?
about you?
I'm gonna go with like a need to see more. Like,
Sure.
it kind of feels like it could have the propensity to be something really surprising, like kind of Jumanji, the next level.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah.
In all honesty, like, The Rock really does elevate a movie a little bit higher than
He's a star.
it deserves to be.
Yeah.
Like, I will say with, like, the first trailer that they had, it was, like, equal parts Emily Blunt and then The Rock's character. You get, like, this kind of, like, Lara Croft feel from Emily Blunt's character. And then you get, in, like, for lack of a better description, like, a more Han Solo vibe from The Rock's character.
Oh, that's good. I guess I never made that connection.
Well, because it's just, like,
before.
this guy that's just, like, really keen on doing what he's doing, which is, like, per the first trailer.
He's in it for the money.
Yeah,
And,
he's a simple guy, but, like, he's
that's
also...
Han Solo all the way.
Yeah,
You're right. You're totally right.
He's the cool guy, and, like, I do think that it could have the propensity to be something pretty decent.
Okay.
Well, before we go, because like you will eventually hear Jenny before the end of this episode.
Yes.
So we're going to check in on her when she gets back. But before then, the three of us are going to guess what she may have.
Correct.
read.
I'm going to guess she's at a need to see more.
I would also guess she's at a need to see more.
Micah?
Yeah, I was going to say she's going to completely agree with me.
Agree with you.
There you go. There you go. All right. So across the board, we're at need to see more. So we will be checking.
We'll see what
this.
she says, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move on, folks. Times may be tough, but there's one thing that'll get us through this, and that's Soul.
What the? Is this heaven?
No, this is where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before they go to Earth.
Is all this living really worth dying for?
All right, next up is Soul.
Yeah.
Ours definitely isn't crushed by the recent COVID.
We're trucking along.
I'm running on Fireball, baby.
We got a lot of soul. Okay, Pixar. It's definitely in a ditch right now because apparently Onward is a terrible movie for terrible people and they should be ashamed of themselves for
You
making
have to
something so
stop-
simple-minded
You
as
have to
Onward.
stop reading the internet.
I know, right? It's just making me more upset.
Pixar is known for doing, like, easier, we just want kids to have fun fare, like The Good Dinosaur, which came out the same year as Inside Out.
Yeah.
Which was, like...
People are so reactionary when they, like,
Yes.
saw Onward or the reviews came out of Onward. It's like, man, Pixar really missed a step. Like, they used to do such, like, awesome, poignant storytelling stuff.
Sure,
and now
sure.
there's just this, like, road trip movie about, like, these two buddies and that's it. And it's like... I saw Onward, and it's really great. Not everything has to be dealing with, like, children's emotions or death, you know? But,
Law.
yeah, like
Growing
Or
sometimes...
the death of the planet
Yeah.
with Wall-E.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god, right? Like, sometimes you can just have just, like, a fun, magical romp. And
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was.
Absolutely.
And it's not just like, yeah, it was okay. I loved it. Having said all that,
Well,
yeah, they have this, too.
Here's the thing. With Pixar, they tend to have really, really good films paired with really so-so trailers.
Yeah,
so,
I'd
like,
say so.
Coco, the trailer was okay. The movie slapped, though.
Yeah, Coco was...
Inside...
Wow. Micah.
Micah is really holding the
You didn't
fort
cry?
of discontent.
No, I was
Seriously.
really expecting to.
Oh, I had...
And I think that's what caused it, because everyone was like,
high
oh, it's so
expectations.
sad.
That's fair.
And I was just like, his grandma's still alive at the end of the movie.
No, she's not.
No, she does.
I'm saying, like, at the end of the movie, she dies later, and then they show her back, you
Yeah.
know, with... But, like, technically, he brings her back, and she remembers all the, you know, good times and whatnot. And,
Yeah.
Whereas with Moana, Grandma dies in the first couple minutes of the movie. And, like, I remember specifically, it was a Sunday after church. I was with a friend of mine from church, and I just sat next to him crying the whole entire movie.
I remember that one. That one got me really hard too.
So,
okay, so Micah hates Coco and literally
It's
everything
not
it
a
represents.
he hates anything that doesn't kill the elderly off in the first few minutes. He is the COVID.
So he's a big fan of Coco.
Fuck you.
Now, we jest because we're trying to make light. We're all so very weird right now.
It's a
weird time.
It's not time.
But they release something like this along with a more light-hearted romp, or for lack of a better word. And this one does look like it's going to tackle some stuff.
We deal with death
Yeah.
in this. We deal with the concept of the afterlife. This starts with a soul kind of looking around wondering what the hell happened. We go to this guy's life. He is a music teacher who's always moonlighted and wanted to be a jazz musician. He goes, plays with a band, who looks at him and they're like, yeah, that's passable. We'll see you tonight for the show. And he's like, bitchin'! And he's so excited. He's walking down the street and then all of a sudden, whoop, falls down a manhole. That's his death. Yep. And so now being confronted with the literal stairs to heaven, he's thinking, I just started to get my fucking life together. Mm-hmm. So he tries to avoid ascending, and in doing so pops out of the stairs. A really awesome thing happens, and it's rare for Pixar, which is they change the animation style as he's falling through these different planes of existence.
I think based on what I saw from the trailer, they are going to try to follow the feel of jazz. So like, when he's following,
that's a good read.
When he's falling through it's like, and it's very like, it's jazz.
Yeah. We're going
really,
into like bebop.
The
or acid
music
jazz.
of this is going to be essential, probably, to the
But
movie.
I feel like they're guided not by the imagery per se, but by the jazz, the idea of jazz as not per se like following any certain set of like.
He's riffing.
Yeah.
He's just riffing. Like clearly, he's on a staircase. That way is the natural order of things, and we're going to go in a very improvised direction here.
Definitely.
Because jazz is improvisational, Kevin.
That's correct, yes.
I just wanted to, one white man explaining to another white man what jazz is.
That's I thank you for Ryan Gosling jazz to me.
You're welcome. So he falls and he lands in kind of an area where
Basically,
souls are being
crafted.
Crafted is a better term.
And this is where you go to get your personality formed, and then from there you jump on into Earth.
Yep.
And from there, our protagonist meets a character played by Tina Fey.
And our protagonist is Jamie Foxx, by the way. I don't know.
Now, he meets Tina Fey, who looks at him and is like, I'm not that stoked about life. I'm not really jazzed about this, to borrow a too poignant fucking adjective. But
that, like, just based on that little bit that we're given from the trailer, we're going to be able to touch on some things like, why is life worth living? Which will be...
Yeah, if there is any time to release this movie, I know it's not really due to come out right now, but maybe it's a good time to release it to people.
It does, at least on onset, feel like a very life-affirming message.
Yeah.
Now, my thing right now, I think the only real note I have of this trailer, right at the very end, this little thing where they're doing a count of all of the people who are going to heaven with the souls, and then someone goes, wait a second, we're missing one. And that's supposed to kind of lead into the idea of, okay, so on top of him trying to get back to his life, he's also going to be tracked by whatever
the police.
This force is that is mandating this. That, to me, ultimately creates more questions that I feel aren't really essential to the central theme or the characters involved. I just didn't need that with this trailer. I think it's a good riff to have in the movie itself.
Does he deliver it relatively humorously?
Not really.
It's like
it's straight. Like... Yeah, it's meant kind of as a dramatic beat.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe it was just a point of levity of just being like...
at the end they're like,
okay. Maybe I misread the
moment. We can look at it real quick if you want to. I am kind of curious because it does change.
It does change.
Complaint.
Yeah, because if you're right, Micah, then never mind. I'm completely fucking fine.
But
it.
Also,
and then what it's doing is cementing over a plot hole.
But if that's even where it's going,
Right.
Our whole point is
Well, let's do this. This is actually the first time we're doing this segment with a guest.
Yeah.
But this is duck season, wabbit season.
I guess we have to call it duck season, wabbit season, Elmer season.
That's true, yeah, because we have a third now. But yeah, whenever we seem to disagree on the way a trailer goes, like if we misremember something, we always do a duck season, wabbit season. So clearly, like, your view of that moment was it was meant to be played as comedy.
I'm also with that.
Okay,
that
so
vibe. Because there's not
two against one.
There was not a third option of what that could be. All right,
we're gonna check right now. See how it goes.
That's weird.
What is it?
151,000 souls going to the great beyond every day, and I count every single one of them. The count's off. Huh.
Okay, so now taking a look at it, it's interesting because, like, one character is treating it deadly serious. The other one, it is played as a comedic beat for the end, but it did give me the impression that at least someone was still very concerned about it because that character, whatever that ambiotic form is still definitely very concerned and still staring at the board at the end of that shot.
And I'd agree. So for me, it's just supposed to play as humor, and it's not opening up the door to a thing that they're not fully exploring in the trailer.
Sure.
Pixar, Disney has this habit of having a main antagonist and then like a vanilla antagonist. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
This idea of like there's going to be an outside force pursuing this dude is going to be like the main crux of like the issue or the problem with the story, or like a secondary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's more or less what my argument was. So at that point, I guess no season, don't fire?
Yeah, we're at an impasse here.
Yeah, we're at an impasse.
Hunting has been canceled because of COVID.
Deal.
So that's where we're at right now.
All right, legit. But yeah, otherwise, I was really taken by the trailer. Not every single beat, like comedic beat specifically, like fully landed for me.
It's true, baby.
So, how are we feeling on this, Micah?
It always is a little bit special to me when you get a movie that centers around a non-white character.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Really?
I don't know who wrote this film or who's going to be directing this film.
I can check while you're going.
I don't know. I always get a little bit excited, and like I know there's going to be like 1,000,001 people that decry like, oh, this is PC culture gone too far, and I don't know. I just imagine like being me back in the being a little kid and like finally getting to see someone that looks like me that, you know, is up on the screen, and like I guess it helps you relate more to the character. It makes it more personable to you. Obviously, he's doing jazz, and that's kind of like a black-centric thing or whatever. But, you know, it looks like, based on the views, he's a upstanding citizen of his community. And, like, we don't have the pitfalls that we usually get subjugated into in film. Especially, like, an animated film. And at the end of the day, what we're really striving for is just to normalize everything. Like, it shouldn't matter. You should be able to put any race of character into this situation and still get the same result.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel a little bit happier. I mean, like, and maybe, like, some people cry, you know, oh, well, you're the problem. But, like, when I see things like this, it does mean something to me. And it makes me a little bit happy to, like, finally be able to, like, and it's not even for me personally. It's for, like, the kids that, like, because I know how I felt in the 90s and the early 2000s with just, like, really trying to find that character that you could connect with, and like there wasn't a lot of minority people in the media, so like that were portrayed in a nice light. So just to be able to have that main character be an African American person is really something special to me. So obviously for me, and not just because of that race, but just because also the ideas that are being promoted in this film are very ones that I feel like everyone should really confront and deal with. It's something to think about, right? Should we be coddling kids about the ideas of death and, like, you know...
If you're Pixar, no.
Right.
Pixar's been pretty confrontational about it, and I love them for it.
I'm definitely going to see this movie as well.
Okay,
It's just a need to see.
Yeah, need to see for me as well.
Yeah.
So triple need to sees. So we can
Wait.
We can cheers on that.
Wait. We didn't guess what Jenny is going to
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll
in a
get to
second.
that. We'll celebrate. We'll celebrate.
Because
yes.
I honestly feel like Jenny might be at a need to see more here. She's not.
Really?
I just remember watching the first 10 minutes of Up with her and her being very upset with me.
How so?
Because it was sad, and I don't think she wants to be sad.
At the very least, for what it's worth, I feel like this would go more the route of Coco, which is you're probably not going to cry at the very end. Up just like took you by the back of the head and drowned you in your own tears right at the beginning.
Yeah.
But Yeah, at the same time, I'm also going to guess Jenny's at a need to see more for this.
And why do you feel that way?
Just because from knowing her as a friend, I know she's not as big into animation.
Well, that's another aspect
which
of
is
it,
a
which you might
which
not
is
know
a
that
cheat
about
code.
her, but
Not to sway you, Micah, but what do you think?
Just to be contrarian, I'm going to say she's probably going to want to see it.
there you go.
Oh,
Need to
okay.
see it.
Okay,
All right,
very
so
cool.
we will
check
find
in
out.
with her.
Yeah.
I do just want to pay off the thing I said I was going to do earlier. Soul is co-directed, so Pete Docter, who's like a mainstay for Pixar, is one of the directors, and then a guy by the name of Kemp Powers, who was a writer on Star Trek, is co-writing and co-directing this, and Kemp Powers is African-American. It's kind of nice because, like, for the most part, Pixar has been pretty much exclusively, like, white
guys. Yeah,
writing
it
and directing
very much
everything.
is that. And so, and what's nice, in how you were mentioning, it's nice to see the representation, especially in animated. What's nice on animated is this movie was in development 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because these movies take so long to make. So that's great that long ago, this has already been in the works. So it's only going to be better, I think, going forward.
Definitely.
I think, anyway, probably. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. Well, you know what wasn't...
Speaking of hope.
You know what wasn't good, even though we decided to dive on into it anyway?
What's that?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but what I will say is we did watch a movie that we gave Double Never Need to Cease to. We would like to thank once again to the people who voted. I will note one of the options was A Million Little Pieces, the James Fry adaptation from his autobiography, quote unquote. And the second we put the poll up, someone voted for A Million Little Pieces. I only assumed that was you, Aaron Taylor Johnson, the star of A Million Little Pieces. I'm sorry we couldn't give you the residuals check.
Also, fuck you.
we did end up watching A Christmas Prince 3, A Royal Baby, by y'all's suggestion. Here it is.
Tonight, your majesties will sign the truce between Aldovia and Penglia.
Let the signing begin.
If the sacred truce is broken, there will be a curse on the firstborn child. If the treaty isn't signed by midnight Christmas Eve, it takes effect.
The treaty is missing, and if we don't find it, our baby is cursed.
I don't know if I'm ready to be a queen and a mom.
I can't even reach my own slippers.
Allow me. Perfect fit.
What is this about? You asked the question at the head of this.
What is this
What is
about?
happening? We don't know. It's interesting, but we don't know.
It's a never need to see in terms
Absolutely.
of trailer.
If I've ever seen a never need to see, this is one of them.
So this is A Christmas Prince 3, The Royal Baby.
Yes.
Written and directed by some people. I'm not going to look it up. This is starring...
Well, I actually wrote on this.
Wait a second.
Oh, hey, I'm back.
Oh, hey! I thought I heard her little giggle there.
Well, before we talk about A Christmas Prince 3, we should check in on you. What would you have rated, say, Jungle Cruise?
I probably would never see it.
Wow.
Okay, you defied all three
We
of our
all
expectations.
thought you'd go with a need to see more on that one.
Okay,
all right,
that's
fair
okay,
enough,
that's
fair
okay.
enough.
We also have Soul.
Everyone who knows me knows that I don't really prefer animated movies.
Sure.
But when I do see them, when I'm forced to see them by my roommate, I tend to love them.
That's me, I'm the roommate.
And after seeing the trailer for Soul, although I may not see it in a theater and it may take me a lot of times, it is a need to see.
You, Micah.
Micah!
What is going on?
It looks so good.
Oh shit!
It's gonna be so hard for me to go see it because it's an animated movie, but I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
So
I'm so happy to be
the
wrong.
only
I'm so
one
happy
who
to be
knows
wrong.
Jenny, it seems.
Okay, so let's move on to the crown jewel of this episode.
Or we couldn't. We could just...
We can just end it right now.
I'm so sorry, you guys. We sat through the movie.
Kevin did it twice.
Yeah, Kevin had to sit through it twice.
We'll get into it.
there. The least we can do is actually have a somewhat of a
reason
full
to do it?
conversation. Yeah. So
this is
Summary
A Christmas
time.
Prince 3, The Royal Baby. This is starring who, Micah?
A woman that was a Power Ranger.
Now,
Oh.
I
in which Power Rangers.
I mean, I
Not
could
the
say
new
it
one.
for you, but you wouldn't know what it was. It's RPM, Power Rangers RPM.
Yeah, that was after my time, probably.
Yeah, me too.
I think I stopped at Power Rangers in Space.
Let's talk about the trailer. Did this set us up for what we ended up getting?
Yes, it gave us the entire plot.
I would honestly say the trailer is the movie, but infinitely better. Because, like, the trailer...
It's shorter.
No, that's
granted,
fair.
it's shorter,
That's fair.
but at the same time, I definitely feel like it hits all of the points more effectively than the movie does, because our main characters aren't the ones that find out about the curse initially. It's a different character. And that's the fucking lead, is the curse.
Well, and also, I'm not gonna lie, this trailer did also feel very long. Maybe. So, I don't know. A long trailer and actually a short movie. It's less than 90
yeah.
90
It
minutes.
felt so much longer.
But the span of my life that it took.
Yeah. You'll never get that back.
Never get that
Yeah.
back.
I definitely lost a few years life expectancy.
Well, you watched it twice.
So I think I agree with you. It does a better job at selling the movie than the movie does. It takes the quote-unquote exciting parts of the movie and just smushes them all into one, like 2.5 minute thing.
Yeah.
I was 7 minutes into this movie, and I made Jenny look at how much time was left.
That's
not just how much time was left, but how much time have we watched?
Yeah.
It felt like it's been 25 minutes, but it was only 7.
Yes.
So that was not a good sign. And that was after Kevin already told me how boring it was.
Yeah,
so
I alerted
I
you
had
right
a low
away.
bar going in, and I still couldn't get through 7 minutes without going, how much more of this do we have?
It was very boring, as well as I thought the dialogue was just very cheesy and very And yeah, it's definitely a movie made for young kids.
Wait, what? I felt like this was like a Hallmark movie aimed at like middle-aged moms.
If that was the case,
That's what I was thinking too.
okay. Well, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie, the Descendants movie, like
The Disney
the
one.
Disney like kids one, but the dialogue and the cheesiness was on par with like that. This movie I kind of thought was more for kids because of that. But if you guys think it's more of like a Hallmark movie, then it just makes it worse.
I mean, it fits the mold of a traditional Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, my initial read was this was meant to be a romantic comedy that was meant to kind of have you insert yourself into the queen role, but I didn't really get any sort of, like, wish fulfillment out of this, just because the relationship with the king is so goddamn dull. Like, I made it a note to write it down. They don't kiss until the 20-minute mark, so if you're going in with the expectation of, oh, I get to, like, live this fantasy where it's like, I'm about to give birth and, like, I have this beautiful king husband, it just kind of presents the relationship as this dry and functional thing. And it's like, they banter, but that's about it.
But that's why I kind of felt like it was more of a kids movie, because you're not going to have two people macking the whole time. Like, you're not looking at 50 Shades or anything.
So in a masochistic sense, there's a small part of me that's like, are the first two movies maybe giving us a little bit more? So, like, we're coming into it like, oh, you should know this, this, and this.
No. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come. I made this point to James. I don't need to see the first two movies because I don't feel like I missed anything. The only thing I missed was they meet and they get married.
When Micah and I were watching this, the first thing that popped up in Netflix was, here's the recap of the first two. And I was like, if A Christmas Prince 3 can't live and die by its own merit, then cinema doesn't have hope. And so I skipped it.
I didn't even see that.
We didn't even see
that.
that.
It gave us a recap prompt, and I was like, fuck that, and skipped it. And I completely agree with you, Jenny. It's one of those things where I really don't feel like I missed all that much.
Yeah.
And there were certain moments, like when you have the two characters who are like the designers come in, it's definitely played as a, aha, here are two characters.
Remember these two?
Yes, but I didn't care. I was like,
exactly.
I was like,
speak for yourself. I care.
It's like, oh, clearly these people have been in another movie, and we should know them.
And obviously they had a reason to distrust Simon.
He was the heel in one of them.
Yeah, he must have been the heel.
The red herring
in the first movie. Maybe he was like the first guy to be like, "Hey, Dick, don't marry this New York chick." Although that's probably not his real name in the first one.
What, Simon or Dick?
Richard. Because, like, once they take the throne, don't you take, like, a more traditional monarch name?
Thank you for thinking about this harder.
Yeah, I feel like you're thinking about it harder than the writers thought about it.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about a movie that contrived a curse just so that way the king and queen could have a reason to give a shit about the scroll. Because without that, they're like
it's
we
weird.
have paper here. Let's just write something
wait,
down.
you know what? Just because we're spoilers from here on out.
Of course. The curse, it's a complete non-factor in this. And Micah, you actually made a really good point with me on the way here, where there's no stakes to the curse. It's just, your firstborn is going to be cursed. And they're like, what does that mean? And they're like, I don't know, probably bullshit, though.
I don't understand the curse aspect at all, because you take it away, there is still a reason in this movie for the king and queen to care.
Is there?
Yeah, because it's a war could start.
No. They never expressly say in the movie that a war... I'm sorry.
Right. Go ahead.
They never expressly say that a war is going to break out because of it.
Sure they do.
There's not tension between the two countries.
Well, that's on the acting and the directing.
Yeah,
but it's there in the dialogue.
Is it?
Yeah, they're like, technically we revert back to a state of war if this doesn't get signed by midnight. So that is the pressure that they're supposed to feel. Maybe upon a first draft of the movie, they were like, still not feeling it. Let's throw in a curse.
I mean, war. What's that anyway?
I don't know. So
that's not going to affect the baby. Let's figure something out.
You have to remember, this is called Christmas Prince 3: The Royal Baby, not the Royal War or the Royal Peace Treaty.
Which, in fairness, the whole entire movie, the baby really doesn't actually play that much of a part.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's
that
in
is
the
very
womb
astute
most
of you.
the time.
Very astute of you. Yes.
No, really.
Is that sarcasm? I feel like that's sarcasm.
I do feel like the lead they bury with the baby, they say at the top of the movie its due date is January 11th, and the baby comes like 2 full weeks early, and everyone seems super cool with that.
It's scary. It's supposed to be scary, and clearly Queen Amber was scared, but everyone else was. They were pretty chill. Well, I mean, she was only having energy surges, not real contractions.
Yeah, just
surges. So I could see the doctor definitely downplaying this 2 weeks early thing to them.
How funny!
Everyone calm and stay.
Right, and then she leaves the room, and you just hear a scream from the other room.
But if you think about it, given the size of the baby, is it 2 weeks early, or is it like 4 months late?
Guys,
that baby was huge.
It was so huge.
They just cast a baby. They didn't.
I know, but
obviously it can't be a newborn, but that baby definitely
I guess
quite old.
Time could have passed, I guess, in between like the birth and then
she's
like
still in bed.
She's still in bed
okay.
when she's
I'm
holding the baby.
Guys, it's okay. Magical Prince magic.
Maybe that was the curse. Maybe like the kid would have popped out like
Benjamin
a full
Button.
teenager.
He was 2 weeks early, you guys. He was supposed to be a preemie.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry, she. I don't know why I keep saying
because
he.
we keep it's a Christmas
Prince, yeah, I guess. Okay.
And that's what I even said.
Dad.
I was like, well, it's got to be a boy then, because they're a king and queen, so they're having a prince because it's called a Christmas Prince. And they swung it with a girl, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. A girl can be a prince, I suppose. Whatever.
Oh,
she
sure.
wants.
We don't know how she'll identify.
Yeah, maybe she will be a prince.
Gender's a fluid.
I don't think Netflix is this forth thinking about it,
I
but
don't
just
think
like
so.
the King Richard debacle.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was it was like, oh, okay. Took me for a little twist there.
Yeah.
Yeah, non-issue for the whole entire movie. Just everything. Like there's some interesting things they could have done with like the queen from Pangolia,
the country that they have
basically.
That's apparently just across the lake from Alagovia.
I want to say Pangea, but it's not.
It sounds like that animal with
Pandora.
the plates. Pangolia or
What were you gonna say about it?
Everything was a non-issue.
I mean, like, I definitely think it's boring Agatha Christie with the who took the scroll because no one really seems to care. As soon as our two characters realize our baby might be cursed, then immediately it's like, we're gonna have a baby shower, and it's like this big party. And then they're like, okay, we should really figure out what's going on with the scroll and try and maybe get that back, because, curse and all. And then it's like, we're going to go ice skating. And then they go ice skating for a little while. And then it finally hits like half an hour before the fucking deadline. And they're like, Did we figure that out yet?
Yeah, the giant snowfall. And then it's just like, nobody can leave. That means the scroll didn't leave. So now we can figure out if it's one of us. Dramatic pushing
thank you for bringing that up.
Everyone.
Thank you for bringing that up.
So many dramatic push-ins.
The MVP of this movie was the focus puller.
Oh,
the focus puller probably had a job as tough as the focus puller on 1917. Like, those two could go to a bar together, and that guy could be like, yeah, man, we were out fucking filming War as one takes. It was real hard. And then
he's
the guy
like,
would be
I was also filming War.
I also went through War. Let me tell you about Christmas Prince 3, The Royal Baby.
This movie just felt very much like a Scooby-Doo episode. It's just like...
Excuse me, ma'am. Scooby-Doo episodes are entertaining.
Scooby-Doo episodes are entertaining.
Like, it's attempting to be
this
a Scooby-Doo
one was
episode.
not.
Well, okay. What did you think about the reveal of who actually stole the scroll in the end?
Well,
the lamest thing ever.
That's what I was getting at. It just felt like Queen Amber found out who it was, and she's like, yes, I did. First, let me go through the evidence. I know who did it. Dramatic pushing. It was, well, whatever his little, whatever his...
The butler.
The butler did it.
Again, it's boring Agatha Christie.
Yeah, and then I was just waiting for him to be like, oh, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you damn kids.
No, he was like, I'm sorry, it's just what I had to do. And everyone's cool with it, too. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, they throw him in the dungeon after. But...
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally missed that part.
Throw him into the Leopold suite. Which
is the dungeon
that was
downstairs.
the dungeon that they found.
That they found the scroll.
Which, by the way, why do you have a dungeon? And they're like, oh, it's haunted. And it's like, then fucking bulldoze
But
it.
speaking of, like, Scooby-Doo-esque shit, when the princess with crutches and her mom go into the... Do we need that?
They found the scroll down
They found the scroll. That's where it was.
Yeah.
And also somehow got locked in a...
Oh my god.
It was the wind.
The wind. I also love how, like, the key was just, like, down there.
Yeah.
It's like, this is clearly an antique dungeon.
I would have
really
much rather
used.
a dog have the keys in their mouth and they're just, like, slightly far away.
That would have been funnier.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have
Pirates
been a
of
way
the
to do
Caribbean
it.
reference.
But, yeah, man, I don't know what else to say about this.
Well, so
Maybe
here, here's something to consider. What would have made this more enjoyable for you? Like, while you were watching it, is there anything where it's like, oh, I wish they...
A better plot.
Okay.
Legitimately, to its core, it's not an interesting movie. It's not an interesting concept.
And I feel like the dialogue, I don't know if it's the writing or the acting or both, but, like, I thought the dialogue delivery was just so cheesy. There was a moment she's sitting on the chair with her slippers. There is a shot where she clearly kicks off her slipper just to go, oh, I can't reach my slipper. And
I was doing that classic thing where I kick off the slipper and then I just put it back on again. You know, that'll
Her feet got cold.
Yeah.
And then the prince comes over and he's like, let me get that for you. And he, like, puts it on her foot. And it was just so cheesy and sexual, I guess, according to Micah.
Hey, she was moaning weird.
Yeah, she is. You're right. She is moaning quite weird. It's just the direction, the acting, and just, like, the dialogue. It just felt very weak and cheesy.
That's fair. I really like them bringing the curse angle into this was them really dangling a carrot that they never fed me. You know, I was really chasing the high of that absurdism.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, there are certain moments in this movie where it does get absurd. So the queen is about to deliver the baby. She's like, oh, I'm having power surges. Doctor's driving and then, like, veers off the road because there's a snowstorm. This doctor calls and is like, I'm stuck. And then the king goes, kicks the door open and runs, gets a horse, which, again, they just have there.
Hey, Aldovia, baby. It's a different place.
And he, like, rides out into the wilderness. My favorite part of the movie is he's riding on the horse and you hear some wolves howl. And then he looks off camera and goes, not today. And then the wolves listen. They respect it.
You know what? That's right, guys.
They were like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were having a rough day. We'll try again tomorrow.
Can we do anything to help you?
It felt very like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't have a budget for actual wolves, though.
No.
Just the sound effect.
What was it? Me and Kevin were joking, like, how funny would it be if, like, they had a Grey situation with the nurse?
Where, like, she gets stranded out there and she's on the phone like, I'm so sorry, I can't help. And then you hear a bunch of wolves howl, and then she, like, breaks a bottle and tapes it into her fucking fist, and she's like, I have to go now. Good luck, everyone. Like, I honestly thought a better Grey scenario, because there is this, like, very nothing subplot where the queen's dad is going to come and visit because it's like, oh, I want to be there for the birth of the baby.
That was the most entertaining part.
Really?
Compared to everyone else, I was like, oh, he's a...
Compared to everyone else, really unlocked that for me. Thank you, Jenny. So it's like...
Hey, bagels! New York!
Don't you miss walking in slices? That's an actual line in the movie. Hey, I'm walking here. Hey, now I'm flying here. Hey, now I'm here. And that's the thing. It's like right at the very end, like they're like, okay, we signed this treaty, your baby is safe, and like we've avoided war between these two nations. And then the fucking dad kicks the door open and he's like, hey, I got a granddaughter now. The fucking doctor slid off the road. How did he get there?
Yeah,
that's the sort of playful absurdism.
He rode the wolves.
yeah.
There's like a side story of him just making it to the thing, like he's like fighting off wolves and like befriending.
How great would that be if he kicked the door open, he's just wearing 12 wolf skins, just kind of like, hey, I got a granddaughter now, and they never address it.
Oh, Dad.
Now, see, that's the thing. When the movie leaned into that, of like that absurdism of the wolves respect the king, when it leaned into stuff like that, I was having a really good time. Unfortunately, the movie
really good time.
I was giggling my head off.
You knew what you were going into, so you could have fun.
But here's the deal. When I say really good time, I'm saying really good time for like 5 seconds, and then it would go into
like
another
really
scene.
good times are just 5 seconds of joy, and then the rest is.
These are trying times, Micah. I gotta hold on to the good times, however ephemeral they may be. But when it was like, okay, now we're trying to mix Downton Abbey with Gilmore Girls and wind up with slop. Like, just something you can't pay attention to because these characters are so wooden. And clearly, they don't really seem to care that there's a curse. So then why should I as an audience?
Yeah, the movie's an equivalent of just like having amnesia for 90 minutes. Like it ended and I'm just like, I don't remember most of what I just finished watching.
Yes.
It's just so bland and boring that it's so unbelievably forgettable. Yeah. In talking with you guys, it unlocked some things and it was fun to talk about. But
PTSD.
If I had to sit,
this is a war table.
Yeah, if I had to sit here by myself and recount it without anyone helping me, I would have like 5 sentences to say.
I actually had to make notes as I was watching the
I'll have
movie
to do that the
like,
next time we do a Never Need to See because
it was the only way I could keep attention.
This was atrociously boring.
Well, you know it's a great movie when the opening shot is them on a very green screen beach.
Oh God.
Oof.
So horrible.
Yeah, it gets off on the wrong.
It gets off on something to say. What?
I'm just saying, there's worse things.
I know.
Then this movie?
No, I'm talking about in terms of green screen.
We kind of gear towards things that look good, so we don't run into this a whole lot for our show.
I voted for Terminator.
I imagine your show you run into bad green screen more than we do.
Not even with shark movies, just things I've done on my own person. There's a movie called The Incredible Bulk that is 100% green screen.
Bulk?
Like the Hulk, but bulk.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, having seen this movie, I would like to thank our listeners for voting. And if you're curious as to how we would react to it, this is the rating segment now. Our rating scale for Trailer in the Reviews is should see again, glad I saw it, should have waited, or shouldn't have seen it. James, I'm going to start with you, man. Where are you at here?
I'm at shouldn't have seen it for me.
You just sound depleted.
It's so exhaustingly boring. And talking about it was more entertaining, obviously, but I have exhausted that aspect of what I have to say about this movie. So,
Cool.
Jenny.
Shouldn't have seen it.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Like, I thought this would be fun. This is why I voted for this one. I thought it would be at least...
You're part of the problem.
I thought it would at least
Thank you to all of our voters.
Yeah, I thought it would at least be fun to make fun of. Like, it would be so bad it's funny. But it was just so boring. First of all, Micah, did you vote?
Yeah, I did. I voted for this movie.
Good. Okay. We're on the same page.
I shouldn't have seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I watch a lot of bad movies because there's something magical about someone who strive for something, and even though it's not a good movie, they were trying, or at least the crew was having fun, or something of that nature. This very much has the feel of They were just making it to make it. There's nothing really to grab you, and that just kind of ruins the whole entire thing. Because, like, a movie can be bad and still be good. But once you make a movie boring, that's where you've truly made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a movie should be entertaining, at the very least.
Yeah.
Right.
If you know you're not a good movie, take some risks, try something weird. At least you're getting a response.
Yeah.
But for this whole entire movie, the only thing, the response I was getting is this done? Why is this so boring?
Yeah, essentially.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah.
Because you watched it twice, you have to give 2 ratings.
Okay, so no, I did. It was one of those things where I watched it the first time, and I reacted much the same way as you, James, where I'm like, I have maybe 2 things to say about this, and just given the circumstances, they closed all the theaters, so I'm like, I guess I'll just watch it a second time.
Well, Kevin, though, apparently, so you watched it the first time, so it had to be, need to see it again.
Yes. Technically, Jenny is right. That first watch was should see again. I will note that this isn't due to exceptional quality, and I had to talk about it for a show, and like had to have more to say than just I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So the second time through, I actually just tried to look them up on IMDb. So whoever that focus puller was, just know you were the Greg Jennings. Like, you put the team on your back. Thank you so much for your hard work.
MVP.
But, dear God, no, this is a shouldn't have seen it. I'm not going to lie, I also voted for this. And
am I the only one that actually tried to pick something that was entertaining?
Yes.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
No, I thought this would be entertaining.
No, it sounded entertaining because you're like,
there's a curse.
Yeah.
There's a treaty.
I knew this was going to be an awful movie.
Well,
at least Terminator Dark Fate may have had some fun action.
I mean, to a bigger budget, we would have been saying the same.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's fair. All right, there you go. If let's say that you were just like at home, you're practicing social distancing, and you're wondering, should I give the third movie within the Christmas Prince trilogy
Which
a
why
go
do we
of
have
it?
that trilogy to begin?
We were giving you a resounding no here, but thank you again for voting. And we would also like to thank you for listening. This is the end of the episode.
We will be going into quarantine now after the mayor made an announcement mid-episode recording.
Either we will defy quarantine because, god damn it, providing yucks, that's an essential service. Or James and I might just like record via Skype or something.
I'm going to vote for that one because I'm going to follow the rules on this quarantine thing for sure. And I think you should too.
Great, you get the guest room.
Oh boy. We should do a Christmas Prince 3 laugh. Jenny, say that again.
You get the guest room.
What a roarous good joke, Jenny.
Our countries are at war.
Yeah, but we're not poor, so it doesn't affect us. God, what a tremendously sad time. All right, so before we take off, we would like to thank Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro song that you hear at the top of every episode. We would like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you'll hear in a moment. We'd like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on her various social medias. I'll list those in a second. We would also like to thank Jenny Hoks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent.
Woo!
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we would also like to thank Micah Pollard, who is our esteemed guest. Where can we find your podcast?
Is that your last name?
Yep.
Steal his identity.
Oh, come on now. I'm going to say, don't do that. All right, Micah, where can we find you?
You can find me at Shark Bites, the podcast, our blog. We do podcasts about shark movies. We have a master list that we got from Wikipedia before they took that list off. And watching various shark movies. Our last one that we just did was Trailer Park Shark, where a trailer park is flooded over and a shark gains the ability to shock people with electricity.
Cool.
Interesting.
All right, so before we go, obviously, if you're listening to this, you have probably found us on either iTunes, Stitcher, or on YouTube. Feel free to find our backlog there. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Trailer Hitch Pod. You can find us on Instagram at
Trailer Hitch Podcast.
Thanks, man. It's so rare that she can just say that.
It's nice, right?
And so before we go, we would just like to say that we sincerely hope that everyone stays safe out there. We hope everyone stays healthy out there. We hope that this podcast has given you at least a little bit of time to just kind of step away from that for a second and to relax.
I would be happy with a moderate chuckle if it provided you with, at the very least.
If at the very least we gave you a moderate chuckle, I know this is time well spent, and we will continue to provide that as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Trailer Hitch.
Let's do this thing.
Testing 1, 2,
3. What level should I be?
Not that last one.
Do that last one, yeah.
Oh, Kevin and I are on very different pages.
James' roommate. I'm a little mouse that just hangs out in the apartment. Post-credit scene. Done.
You still have to say shit, by the way. It is a test.
Yeah, Micah and James.
I burped once.
We're all going to die.
Morbid. It's a very different podcast episode.